In this video, we're going to talk about the overall project architecture and organization in Grid Studio. Basically, everything related to your project is added from the project tree. There are many different types of objects available in Grid Studio. Grid Studio being a software that brings spatial awareness to your AVLM projects, of course, has objects that represent things in 3D space. So within the spatial objects group, we have some basic primitives, as you can see here. Or you can load in your 3D meshes, FBX, and so on, and understand the whole spatial awareness of your venue that you're working in. Or we also have internal objects. For example, we have light fixtures, cameras, PDZ cameras, and area objects in this situation being shown here. Don't underestimate some of these internal objects. They're extremely crucial in translating basic protocols into something that is visible and you can visualize in the 3D space. Next, we have some basic device objects. So for example, we are talking about connecting to an audio desk or connecting to a KVM switcher or a video matrix, for example. So these are the types of objects and devices that Grid can connect to. And you can just simply add more of these devices that you're trying to connect within your project into your project tree, and we can then start controlling them. If some of those devices are not available on the basic tree, and since we're on this topic, we can quickly talk about how to add objects into your project tree. You can come into here in the little plus icon, click on that, and you get a list of all the things that are available. You can also get to the same list by clicking on an empty space, and you get the exact same list. You can then also type in something and search for it, for example. So I can connect to a VLC player as an example. While we're on this topic, there are objects that might not be available on that list, but still actually available to you to control. And those are extensions. So you can come into your library window and under extensions, go online and actually search for all of the extensions that we have published. And keep in mind that this is a ongoing updating list. So as we are adding more and more devices into the system through extensions, they will be available online and you can just search for this and add them into here. All you need to do is right click and then install this as a plugin, and this will then go into your documents folder under Grid Studio. There will be a plugins folder, and those things will be these things will then be installed as a subfolder under that. You can then also write your own plugin if you like to, and those will live in that section as well. So those are some basic devices that you can control. And of course, extensions are not only limited to devices, they can be a wide variety of different things as well. Like, for example, a protocol. We already, by default, ship a bunch of different protocol objects. So a lot of the standard protocols, like shown here, sACN, OSC, TCP, UDP, we have quite a lot of different protocols available. Again, you can just come in here and search for the ones that you want. So, for example, come in here, again, then type UDP. Clicking on it will directly add it into the list. Or otherwise, we can then send it out. Clicking and dragging this, I can then put that into this subfolder as well. So this is just how you can then so quickly organize some of the things that are available and make this whole project tree a little bit more manageable as more and more things gets added. The next thing that we want to talk about is profiles and resources. We have a bunch of different profiles. So for example, we have a lens profile, alignment profile. These are more for camera calibrations. We also have fixture profiles, so we understand how to control a light fixture, for example. So these are just internal objects that helps to store informations, specifically building out profiles so that you can then apply it into other objects as well. Of course, we are a data management, and working with data is quite critical as well. So we have different data objects as well. So something quite simple as a few variables, all the way up to having something like a data tree or a data table where your data gets a little bit more complex and it's not just a single thing that you just want to deal with. We have these different objects that can host all of these information, making it a little easier for you to receive that information, store it internally, and then allowing other objects and things to then access that information within the software. Next, we have interface objects. So we're talking about artboards, dashboard buildings, and widgets and things like that. Those are, of course, another objects that you can add into this system, and you can then organize that as well, depending on how you like. Being a software that we want to start controlling other things and allowing it a little easier for users to orchestrate how things would work, we have another type of objects that are called orchestrations. So we have things like a timeline, we have state machines, and so on, that you can then create your logic and then host them into these sort of structures that you can then execute the different commands at the appropriate time. And of course, talk about logics, then we have logic and processing objects, like, for example, workflows and modifiers. We do have another video that we talk about specifically these two things, so keep an eye out for that. And otherwise, these are just another place that you can then start building out the logic that you want, how certain things would happen, receiving information, reacting to certain things, reacting to events, and so on, and then start triggering things accordingly. Folder objects, while we're talking about just managing and organizing things, we previously talked about how you can just click and drag some of these objects and move them around in the project tree. It's one thing to note that a object, while you have it in these sort of structure, there is this relationship, what we call the parent-child relationship. So for example, here we have this primitive folder that is hosting all of these primitive objects inside it. And within that, we actually have a coordinate system. So any objects with a parent and child, the child would actually follow the parent objects. And so, for example, if I start rotating this folder, you can then actually see the group of primitives are actually rotating along with that folder as well. So this is a nice way that you can actually start organizing things, but also grouping objects in your 3D space and moving them together as a group, for example. Another thing, or another way that you can actually start organizing things is through something called categories. So within your project settings, under categories, you can create different categories for whatever the things that you want. All you need to do is just come in here and click on plus, and you can add a brand new category, for example. These categories can then be applied to different objects in your within this system. So, for example, here we have applied the audio tag or audio category to this object because this is a audio desk. And once these categories has been assigned to different objects, what you can do is that within the project tree, you can actually, from this little icon here, you can actually filter them based on the different categories. So for example, I want to look at everything that is video related. So I've assigned tags, for example, to the camera, the PDZ camera, the ADDERLink KVM switch, and then also this Videohub, and then also some of these lens profiles are related to what I think is the video tag, for example. You can also directly search for and filter by a type. So I just want to look at all camera objects, for example. So, and you can see here, I can actually apply multiple filter tags. So I'm searching for the category of the video and the object of the camera type. What you can do is actually you can also open up multiple project window. And from here, you can actually apply different filters. So for example, here I want to look at all lighting related objects. And here is all of my video related objects, for example. So that's what you can do. Or you can directly just come in here and just search for the name as well. So for example, I remember I have an OSC object. I can just type OSC or whatever the name might be. And you can just then directly search for that as well. So this nice way that you can actually have multiple of these projects tree windows open and organize your workspace in the way that you like, having different windows, filtering for different things, placing them into different folders and organizing them. So in summary, the project tree is where you would add everything that you need, organize that into folders, assign categories, and then filter them. And then, of course, you can search for those objects as your project gets more complex and has more objects in it. It's nice to have a quick little search function that can quickly access to the object that you like.